Hi friends, this is Celeste from Finger Play Studio. It is March 14th and this is my weekly studio update. I wanted to show you some new things. Well, one big new thing is that we have more colors in now of less traveled yarn. Got a whole bunch of these. This is just a small sampling. This is their 757 sock yarn and I love it. I'm actually knitting with it now and I'll reveal that in a little while. Not today though. But I did want to give you an update on the Oban cardigan knit along. So this is mine. And I am loving knitting it. It's super fun. I love the cables. And this is definitely my thinking project, but it's not that hard and I'm really loving it. We are getting together every Friday and Saturday on the first Friday and Saturday and the third Friday and Saturday of the month for group working on the Oban, and that's been great. I love seeing everybody's progress. Some people are way past me. Some people are taking their time. It's all good. It's all enjoyable. Once you get through that first bit, you can just cruise on. Adding the pockets is not as hard as it looks, and I'm probably gonna finish up my back soon. So I'm looking forward to getting onto sleeves. So last week we talked a little bit about needle storage. And this week I wanted to address another question that I got very frequently is stash storage. We all have stash of varying sizes, but there are some things that you need to know about maintaining your stash and keeping your yarn safe. So first of all, some do's and don'ts. So first of all, you want to make sure that your yarn is stored properly. And the biggest thing is climate control. And I don't mean that you need to have a specially designed room for just your yarn. But what that does mean is that you don't put it in super hot places or super cold places or very dark places or very moist places. So no attics, no basements, no garages, and probably not a super dark closet. And that is because that's where critters like to investigate and make their homes. And critters can be spiders. I've seen spider infestations of yarn, and moths. So moths mostly like your yarn that is been made into garments because it's worn, and so it smells like people and it has hair in it and perspiration and maybe some food. And so all of those things, even though it might look clean to you and smell good, the moths are good at detecting that, and that's what they like to feed on in your woolens. So, and they like the dark. So if you keep your yarn in a light place, but out of direct sunlight, because that will fade your gorgeous yarns like your hand dyes. If your stash is visible, you are more likely to use it. So Kate here has her grandmother's hutch, her dining hutch, which has glass doors, and that's where she stores her fingering weight yarn. So she always sees it, and then it's kind of tempting her to use it. You can also store your yarn in cubbies, which a lot of people choose to do, sort of like what we have here at the store. And if you do that, then you're also going to be able to see it. If you put your yarn into bins, try to make it something that you can see. Either part of it is open or it's a plastic bin so that you can see through it. That'll help you keep it in mind, because out of sight, out of mind. And then speaking of plastic, I would strongly steer you away from using Ziploc bags for several reasons. In our dry climate, plastic bags break down over time, and that plastic it's gonna fall apart, it's gonna seep into your yarn even. So avoid plastic bags as much as you can. Plastic bins, on the other hand, are a little more durable and they will last longer. I would just say that with whatever you're storing your yarn in, you want to take it out every couple of times a year, 2 to 3 times. Take it out, clean the bin, just to keep it fresh. Your yarn does want to breathe, and some plastic bins will seal really tightly. A lot of them don't, and that's actually better because then it doesn't seal in moisture or the gases from the plastic. So if it has some breathability, that's great. Identifying your yarn. So ways to identify your yarn. Whenever we wind your ball for you, we'll put your ball band inside there. You keep the ball band with it, then you'll know what this yarn is, because believe me, you'll forget later. Another way to do it if you don't have your ball band is you can simply write on a piece of paper what it is and attach it to the yarn and store it that way. How you organize your yarn is up to you. Some people do it by color, some people do it by weight, some people do it by fiber, and then go from there and organize it by fiber and then color and then weight or whatever. Whatever works for you is fine, but do label it because that will help you. So Ravelry has the ability for you to keep an inventory of your yarn. And some people, whenever they purchase yarn, they will immediately go into Ravelry. You can put it in your stash. You add in where you purchased it, how much you purchased it for, how much you purchased, what the dye lot is, all of that. It seems a little tedious, but it's really helpful. And as we've gone through the fires recently, I know people who were able to pull up their inventory of stash and know exactly what they lost, which helped them with insurance claims. So it's not a bad idea to take a few minutes after you purchase your yarn, go into Ravelry and make note of it. Now, it always seems that no matter how much yarn I have in my stash, whenever I go to start a new project, I don't have the right color or I don't have the right amount or whatever. So that's how stash accumulates. The other way stash accumulates is leftover yarn from projects. So I have a couple of projects that I will probably be working on all of my life, but there are a lot of stash buster projects on Ravelry that you can find. I'm going to show you just a couple of mine that I have. Well, these are my 2. So this one I've been working on for a long time. This is a blanket of squares of stock yarn. So I have a lot of these. I block them as I go. I haven't put them together because I know someday I'm going to want to arrange them in their colors, so I try to, whenever I finish a fingering weight project or a sock, I try to use up the ends for my blanket. That will happen someday, or I'll leave it to somebody. The other thing I have going is a blanket called the Excavation, and this I just make crazy. I'm using different weights, different yarns, different colors. It's not very far along. I just started this a little while ago. It self-fringes, and I'll make it as big as I want to. There are also a lot of shawls like that, and there are even sweaters that I've seen that are really nice that you can use for stash busting. And then finally, I'm just going to touch on donating. We get a lot of questions about donating yarn. We can't take all of your donations. I know there's a couple of schools in Boulder Valley School District that do teach knitting, usually elementary age, and then sometimes the high schools will have knitting clubs or crochet clubs. So you can try individual schools or your local school district to see if they take donations. Nursing homes will take donations. Churches, hospitals sometimes have knitting programs. And then there are several craft thrift stores in the area. One in Boulder is called Art Parts. And then there's one in Longmont, and there's a few in Denver. So if you do a quick Google search, you can probably find someone who will take your donations. And clearing out your stash is like life. Like, you clear out the clutter and then something good comes forward. So clearing out your stash is a great way to allow yourself to bring in some new lovely yarn for a project. I hope that is giving you a little bit of thought about managing your stash and how to take care of your yarn. And that is what I have for you this week. So in the meantime, have fun, and I'll see you soon. Bye.